Okay, we're talking about SubD. I'm just going to remember or remind everybody of the same thing. Again, blocks start always simple. You can have as a reference your project, then build from there. I don't recommend you start with complex geometries. Simple ones, remember, Control-Shift to select parts, Control-Shift to select faces, edges, Control-Shift to select vertices, no? You can Control-Shift, double-click, and select one of the edges, and it selects the loop. So you can transform the entire loop however you see fit. Here's the option of right-click to SubD edge ring. You can select one of the edges, and then it selects the loop of those to create another ring. You can do the same with select edge loop. If you select one here, it creates another one. It doesn't matter how you do it. It's the same process, just selecting different things. Okay. There's a couple of more important tools which you can use, and it's when you delete one of the faces, you can also Control-Shift and select the ring that is open, so it creates that kind of a boundary. So one thing you can do, I'm going back, is just, for example, copying one of those elements and deleting the face from here, Control-Shift to select and take it down, for example, and use the same face here, and Control-Shift the ring of that to take it up. Now, I can't really connect those two, but there's a very useful tool that we can use. It's actually the bridge. So if we select the bridge SubDs, I can select that, Control-Shift, and, well, double-click actually the edge here, so it creates the selection of the ring, Enter, and double-click to select the other ring. So that will create this bridge option, and you can increase the number of segments. The more you increase, the more pipey it will look. The less segments, the more smooth, no organic will look. You can, the straightness could change as well. But if you say, okay, that will become a SubD, no? So you could do something like copy that, press Alt, rotate this, whoops. And I don't know, do that a couple of times. So I'm gonna just, for example, select those two faces and delete, and these two faces and delete. Now, you need to have the same number of faces for each of the openings. You can have here for this opening 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then in the other one 4. So you have to have the same type of number of SubD parts to it. So then we can do the same bridge, select, double click, enter, double click, enter, and then it connects them. No? You can keep on working with adjusting some of those. I'm just selecting here by Control-Shift and take it to the side, and that's gonna create an organic element, or I can double click to select the ring and make that more stretched. And I could, I could do many things with this type of system, no? I'm gonna select this face and delete, and I'm gonna do the same bridge again. Double click, enter, oops, enter, and there you go. I can double click this one, the ring, to create something a bit chubbier there and take it to the side. And you can just do the same. Just take this one here, maybe rotate it 180. So we start having something fun to do. I don't know. And what about bridges that are a bit not necessarily aligned as I've been doing? I can do a Control-Shift, select this face and this face, as long as they have the same number, which I think they do, hopefully. If not, they will tell me. Enter. There you go. And I can add another segment there. I'm going a little funky, but I guess you get the idea of what I'm trying to do here, no? I could do face delete and then do one here delete, as long as they have, again, the same number of faces, it should do it, enter, and then okay. So that could be a kind of a growth thing. From a box that you replicate, you can keep on working with, why they have the shape they have or whatever it is that you want to do, no? So that's kind of a nice system that you can think about. Another way of growing these systems is it's always starting slow, is selecting a face, for example, and having what is called the crease. Where is this? So yeah, when you select the face, you have the crease option, is inset SubD edge. And then you can insert a base point to make it smaller or bigger, that opening. But you can just say enter, and it creates like a face inside of the face that you can extrude. And then you can move around. And you can do that several times. Just inset and move it. Now, so this is a way of also growing the system, just selecting a face, an inset option, enter, and then move it out. Inset option, enter, and then move it around. So that allows you to grow more as if it was an animal picture, no? Almost if it came to be alive. You can do that, I think, with a couple of shapes at the same time. So this, imagine you have your overall space and you're thinking of a cave. You can start doing the inset and moving, inset and moving around, moving up. And as you create this, you can keep changing your loops. So you can maybe push some of the lines a little bit, push other ones outside to do different approaches. And you can have two cave options if you do an inset, and then you bring those up, maybe rotate them a little bit and stretch them. So this is a little bit of the kind of a monsters, but cave-like. So maybe you want to do some of these things to search for light from the top, to create an environment of cave-like structures within the space, no? Again, anything that you end up having, it's worth kind of working a bit on the aesthetics of it. You can slightly scale some of the faces or slightly push some of the lines to make it smoother in one direction. You can do many things with this. Obviously, you can combine the bridges with the insets. There's also the extrusion option, which is similar to the inset, as it creates an extrusion, which is the same as inset. The insets also can happen inward, so it creates like a little bit of an opening in that type of space. Okay, so you end up with this whatever monster. You can select a bunch of faces as well, of course, and move those, and they will keep the again the smoothness between those. So can do an inset. A bit smaller. There's another element that I think is important if you're going to take this to a serious level, which is the crease option. So if you select, for example, this is a smooth ending, but you could say crease. You can add the crease, select the number of faces. And if you press enter, it creates what it feels like an opening, but it's actually a face that has a planar end to it, no? So for example, imagine you're doing, I don't know, like a counter in a quite nice institution, and you might want the top to be a flat thing, but the bottom to be rounded. You can always select the crease option to the top, select all of the edges by pressing Shift that are on the top, and it creates that smooth element. Now you say it looks like a whatever, a bathtub or something, but you can start working with some of the edges on the bottom. For example, this 4 and creating a scale so that becomes a little bit more elegant, no? And then you say it's still not there. Maybe we do a crease on the back as well. So let me take that here. And I'm going to select crease and also these elements here. No, so it starts looking more interesting. Maybe now we make even smoother the front. Again, I'm pressing Control Shift and continue selecting and scale that. So that could be a nice thing. Maybe I don't want it perfectly symmetrical. So here's a strong curve and that's smooth. No, and then maybe there that didn't look nice, that part. We need to raise that up a little bit to have that sense of balance. And then you can just push maybe the front, so it's cantilevering. And this could be crease as well, maybe. So now you have like this, you know, it stands on that area and there's like a relatively sophisticated curvilinear, but also crease where you need it to be a furniture piece. And that could be done for like sofas and so on. I think those are fantastic tools to create your own piece of furniture. So the crease option is quite useful. So yeah, you work on your forms, you create your caves, imagine animals eating alive a piece of wood or whatever it is. You create sophisticated systems with whatever the simple tools that you have here. And then, as I mentioned before, you need to, though, convert that into a nerve. No? So once you click there, you can either delete or not, press enter. And it might take a long time if it's a sophisticated curve, but with this particular shape, you can do a Boolean operation between nerves, between your base project and this monster. And obviously you can adapt this easily with the scale and then place it on the top of the form, so it's not really so far away from the logic of the space, no? Again, convert to SubDs, delete, I'm gonna say yes now. And now in theory, the Boolean difference should work between one form and the other one. No? So it's something that you can work with a bit more, because you can go back and say, well, I don't like these caves. I would like to have something a bit more measured here or there. So you can work with those forms again and again until you get the shape that you want. So these again are wonderful. And probably towards the end of the semester, we'll go back and think, can we do a furniture using SubDs that we can implement afterwards into Revit? So just keep this in mind. Yeah, so that's the thing to do, to explore those little possibilities from SubD options and think of what can we do with SubDs and in Rhino, okay?